Don't breathe. If they hear you, you'll die. That's what Elena whispered when she yanked me into that closet. Her hand, smelling of lavender soap and fear, pressed so hard against my mouth I thought she'd suffocate me before they could. My name is Jonathan Pierce, 42, tech billionaire, self-made, all the usual success story garbage. And 12 hours ago, I thought I had it all figured out. Through that crack, I watched my wife Catherine walk past, but she wasn't alone. My business partner, Derek, my best friend since college, had his hand on her lower back, the kind of touch that tells you everything you need to know. But it wasn't the affair that made my blood run cold. It was what Catherine said next. Her voice was clear, casual, like she was discussing dinner plans. "He's still walking around, Derek. It's been 3 weeks." And then Derek responded, his tone matter-of-fact, chilling in its simplicity. "Then triple the dose. We don't have time for slow anymore." In that moment, everything clicked. The dizziness, the shaking hands, the nausea I blamed on stress, the night sweats I thought were just aging. It wasn't burnout. It was poison, served every morning in my protein shake by the woman I'd loved for 8 years. 3 weeks earlier, I'd started feeling off. Nothing dramatic, just wrong, like my body was betraying me one cell at a time. My CFO suggested I see a doctor. Catherine insisted it was stress. She'd say, "You're working yourself to death, baby." Turns out, she meant that literally. Elena didn't give me time to process. She didn't wait for me to cry or rage or demand explanations. She just grabbed my wrist and dragged me backward through the closet, through a service entrance I didn't even know existed. I'd lived in that house for 5 years, 15,000 square feet. I thought I knew every corner. But Elena, my housekeeper, the woman I barely spoke to except to say good morning or thank you, she knew the escape routes I didn't. My instinct was to call the police, to call my lawyer, to call someone with power and make this nightmare stop. But Elena stopped me. Her voice was sharp, urgent. "No, no phones, no police. You're Detective Shaw. Derek owns him." That's when I realized this wasn't just murder. It was a hostile takeover. Derek hadn't just stolen my wife. He'd bought my protection, my exits, so I did something I'd never done in my entire adult life. I trusted someone I had no reason to trust, and I ran. We drove in silence for maybe 10 minutes. Every set of headlights behind us felt like a threat. Every red light felt like a trap. My phone was blowing up. "Catherine, where are you?" "Derek, meeting ran late?" My assistant, "Mr. Pierce, please confirm you're safe." All of them pretending to care. All of them hunting. Elena didn't ask. She just took it. I lunged for the phone. "What the hell are you doing? But she cut me off, her eyes blazing. "That's a tracking device. That's how they find you. That's how you die." She pulled into a scrapyard like she'd planned it, like she'd been preparing for this moment. Then she said 2 words that changed everything. "Your watch, too." That watch was a gift to myself, the day my company went public. I'd worn it for 6 years. It was proof that I'd made it, that the kid from Section 8 housing had become someone who mattered. But Elena's eyes said what she didn't have to speak. "You want to matter? You want to matter alive or dead?" Just like that, Jonathan Pierce, billionaire, entrepreneur, TED Talk speaker, disappeared. No signal, no trace, no proof I existed. For the first time in my adult life, I was no one. And Elena's neighborhood wasn't on any map I'd ever used. No tech startups, no artisanal coffee shops, no Teslas, just survival, packed tight into streets the city pretended didn't exist. Her place was maybe 800 square feet. My walk-in closet was bigger, but it felt like a fortress. That's when my body decided it was done. Whatever they'd been feeding me, it all hit at once. Catherine's voice echoed in my fever dreams. "Drink up, baby, it's good for you." Derek's toast, "To partnership, to trust." Then Catherine again, "He's still breathing, Derek." And Derek's response, "Not for long." I was burning from the inside, not just from poison,
from knowing, from understanding that every morning kiss had been a countdown, every I love you had been a lie rehearsed so many times it sounded like truth. Elena didn't panic, didn't call 911, didn't ask if I was okay. She just moved, boiling water, finding blankets, checking my pulse every hour like she'd done this before. On the second night, the fever broke just enough for me to speak, and the first thing out of my mouth was the question that had been eating me alive. Why? Why are you doing this? Elena's answer came quietly but firmly. Because I saw the truth. 3 weeks ago, I was cleaning your office. Mrs. Catherine came in with your shake. Didn't know I was behind the bookshelf. She opened a capsule, white powder, stirred it in with her finger. Then she smiled, like it was nothing, like you were nothing. She continued, her voice steady with conviction. I've cleaned houses for 15 years, Mr. Pierce. I've seen how people treat each other when they think no one's watching. But that was different. That was evil wearing a wedding ring. And nobody deserves to die in their own home, while monsters call it love. In my old life, I'd built an empire on reading people, on knowing who to trust. But I'd missed the obvious. The person trying to kill me slept next to me every night. And the person saving my life, I'd never even asked her last name. By day 3, the fever eased, but the paranoia sharpened. In my world, danger came dressed in suits with legal contracts. Here, it came dressed as curiosity. Elena saw it first. Mrs. Santos, the neighbor across the street. She'd noticed Elena's car hadn't moved, noticed the curtains staying closed in the middle of the day. In a neighborhood where everyone knows everyone's business, a closed door is an invitation to ask questions. Elena whispered urgently, "Don't move, don't breathe, don't let the floorboards creak." Through that thin door, I heard Mrs. Santos's voice, sweet, concerned, dangerous. "Elena? You okay in there, mija? Saw your car hasn't moved. You sick?" Elena responded smoothly. "Hi, Mrs. Santos. I'm fine. Just had a stomach bug. Didn't want to spread it around." But Mrs. Santos wasn't satisfied. She tried to peer past Elena, eyes sharp, searching. "You sure? Thought I heard a man's voice last night. You got someone in there?" Elena held her ground. "Just the TV. You know how loud I keep it." There was a tense moment, Mrs. Santos's eyes narrowing. Then she nodded slowly. "Okay, mija. You need anything, you call me." That night, Elena pulled the curtain so tight not even a crack of light escaped. We moved in silence, whispered when we had to speak. The house became a tomb we were hiding in, praying nobody decided to dig. In my old life, I'd controlled rooms with a word, moved markets with a tweet. Now, I was learning what real power looked like, the power to disappear, the power to survive by becoming invisible. I told her in a broken whisper, "I should go. Every minute I'm here, I'm putting you at risk." But Elena shook her head slowly. "You're not strong enough yet, and where would you go? They own your world. Out there, you're not hiding. You're walking into their hands." She was right. My mansion, monitored. My office, Derek's people. My bank accounts, probably frozen or being drained. Hotels, my credit cards would ping the moment I used them. I'd built an empire, but I'd never built an escape route because I'd never imagined I'd need one. After a week, the poison was mostly out of my system, but the anger? That was just getting started. Elena had a friend who owed her a favor. Got me access to a clean laptop, no trail, no connection to Jonathan Pierce. I started digging into my own company, looking for the things Derek thought I'd never see. It didn't take long. Derek had been sloppy, maybe because he thought I'd be dead before anyone looked, or maybe because arrogance makes you stupid. They'd been planning this for months, not weeks, months, setting up shell companies, rerouting funds, building a paper trail that would make it look like I'd been embezzling from my own company. The plan was elegant. Poison me slowly, make it look like stress-related heart failure, then discover the embezzlement, paint me as a suicide risk who'd taken the easy way out. Catherine gets the insurance payout, Derek gets the company. Everyone feels sorry for the tragic genius who couldn't handle the pressure. But they'd made one mistake, one critical, arrogant mistake. They'd assumed I'd die quietly. Elena asked the obvious question, "What do we do with this?" I turned to look at her, holding her gaze. We don't go to Detective Shaw. We don't go to anyone Derek might have bought. We go higher. I'd done business with the feds before, corporate fraud cases, testimony on tech security. I knew an agent, Martinez, who owed me nothing, who had no reason to be on Derek's payroll, who actually gave a damn about the law. I sent him everything, the offshore accounts, the emails, the timeline, and one more thing. In 2 days, there was a charity gala, the kind of event where the entire tech industry shows up to pretend they care about something other than market cap. Derek would be there, Catherine would be there, all the board members, all the press, everyone who needed to see what happened next. Elena was worried. "You're going to walk in there where they can see you?" I felt my resolve harden. I'm going to walk in there because they can see me, because the last thing they expect is a dead man showing up to his own funeral. The Tech Vision Gala, $2,000 a plate to pretend you care about underprivileged youth while sipping champagne that costs more than most people's rent. I'd been to a dozen of these. Usually I was the one giving the keynote speech. We came in through the service entrance, Elena's idea. She knew the catering staff, had worked events like this 100 times. To security, we were just help, invisible, exactly what we needed to be. The plan was simple. Wait until Derek and Catherine were visible, surrounded by witnesses, then make my entrance. Let the dead man walk. I saw Catherine first. Red dress, diamonds at her throat, the ones I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary. She was laughing, actually laughing, champagne in hand, playing the grieving wife who's being so brave at a public event just weeks after her husband's mysterious disappearance. That's when I realized they'd already started the narrative. Missing, presumed dead, troubled genius, so much stress, people saying they saw it coming, everyone rewriting history to make my murder make sense. Then Derek appeared, my best friend, my business partner, the guy who was best man at my wedding. He kissed Catherine's cheek. She leaned into him, and every person in that room saw it, saw the comfort, the intimacy, the transition from grieving widow to new relationship happening so smoothly it could have been choreographed. Elena whispered to me, "Not yet. We wait for Martinez." Martinez, right on time. That was my cue. I walked in like I owned the place, because technically I donated $50,000 for tonight's event. My name was probably on a plaque somewhere. The look on Catherine's face, I'll remember it until I die. Not shock, not joy, not relief. Fear, pure, undiluted fear. The crowd erupted in confused whispers. "Is that Jonathan Pierce? I thought he was—" But Derek recovered fast, plastering on a smile, moving toward me with arms spread, performing for the audience. "Jonathan, my God, where have you been? We've been worried sick." That's when Derek saw Elena, really saw her, and I watched his brain work, put the pieces together. The missing billionaire, the housekeeper who'd stopped showing up to work, the variables he hadn't controlled for. His expression shifted from relief to calculation to rage. Derek's voice dropped the pretense, becoming quiet but venomous. You thought you could steal what's mine? You thought some nobody could—" He didn't finish the sentence. I'd never thrown a punch in my life. Negotiated billion-dollar deals? Sure. Fired people? Weekly. But violence? That was for other people. People without lawyers. Except in that moment, I understood something. Sometimes the only language monsters speak is force. The ballroom exploded. Phones out, cameras recording, security rushing forward too late to stop what everyone had already seen. Martinez's voice cut through the chaos with authority. FBI, nobody move. Derek Chen, Catherine Pierce, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted homicide, and wire fraud. Catherine tried one last performance. Jonathan, baby, you're confused. You've been sick. This is all a misunderstanding. But an agent was already taking Catherine's wrist, pulling it away from me. The handcuffs clicked shut.
There's a sound handcuffs make. That metal-on-metal click. Final, irreversible. It's the sound of consequences catching up to people who thought they were untouchable. Derek was still fighting. You can't do this. Do you know who I am? I have lawyers. But the agent cut him off, bored. Yeah, you're under arrest. We know who you are. That's when it hit me. For once, I wasn't the powerful one. I wasn't the CEO. I wasn't the success story. I was just a man who'd survived. And somehow, that was enough. Martinez had more questions. So did the press. So did everyone. But I had something I needed to do first. For 8 years, Elena had cleaned my house, made my bed, organized my life, and I'd said maybe 1,000 words to her. Good morning, thank you, have a good weekend. The perfunctory politeness we give to people we've trained ourselves not to see. The reporters shouted over each other. Mr. Pierce, where have you been? Is it true your wife tried to kill you? How does it feel to be alive? I raised my hand for silence, and when the room quieted, I spoke. I'll answer your questions, all of them, but first you need to know something. I thought power protected me. I thought money bought safety. I thought blood meant loyalty and marriage meant love. I was wrong about everything. I continued, my voice steady. This woman, Elena Reyes, saved my life. She risked everything, lost her job, put herself in danger, hid me in her home, kept me alive when my own wife was trying to kill me. She didn't do it for money. She didn't do it for reward. She did it because she saw evil and refused to look away. I wasn't done. We live in a world that measures worth by the wrong things, by bank accounts, by job titles, by how many people know your name. But I'm here today because someone with no title, no wealth, no power decided that my life mattered, that truth mattered, that honor still exists. Then I spoke quieter, more to Elena than to the crowd. When this is over, when the trial ends, when my life stops being a headline, will you have dinner with me? Not as my employee, as my equal, as the person who taught me what loyalty actually means. That's when the applause started. Real this time. Not performance, not networking, just humans recognizing humanity. Martinez told me I could go home, back to the mansion, back to the life that had almost killed me. They'd clear it, make it safe, put security on it, make me feel protected. But here's what I'd learned in that week hiding in Elena's 800-square-foot apartment. Safety isn't about square footage. It's not about security systems or guards or gates. It's about knowing who's standing beside you when everything collapses. I told Martinez simply, sell it, give the money to charity, I don't want it. The reporters wanted a final shot, rich man reclaimed, villain punished, happy ending packaged neatly for social media. But I was done performing for cameras. We drove in silence at first, not the terrified silence of hunted people, just peace, the kind you can only feel when you've been stripped to nothing and realized nothing was everything you needed. I asked quietly, "Where are we going?" Elena glanced at me with a small smile. "Home, my home, unless you have somewhere better." I shook my head.
smiling for the first time in what felt like forever. No, that sounds perfect. I'd spent 20 years building an empire, creating a name, making sure everyone knew who Jonathan Pierce was. But driving through those streets in Elena's car, I finally understood. The people who love you loud aren't always the ones who love you real. Sometimes the truest loyalty comes from someone you barely noticed until they become the reason you're still breathing. Measure your life not by what you own, but by who stands beside you when everything falls apart. That's the only math that matters. In the end, I learned what survival really costs. It costs everything you thought made you valuable. But what you get in return, that's priceless. You get to see who you really are when the money's gone, when the power's stripped away, when all that's left is the choice between dying alone or living with someone who saw you at your worst and chose to stay anyway. I chose life. I chose Elena, and for the first time in 42 years, I chose right.
For more videos, please subscribe, like, and comment.